For the past few weeks, I've been reflecting on what it means to love one another and how this love builds bonds of fellowship between us. Jesus placed a very high premium on us loving one another. In fact, John recorded him saying this in John 13, 34, and 35. "A new commandment I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, all men will know that you are my disciples." Why? If you love one another. Now, you know, and I know, that some people are a lot easier to love than others. And if we're really being honest, we'd have to admit that there are some people who are going to struggle a little bit when they try to love us. But that's the command, isn't it? It's not a suggestion. It's a command. Love one another. Here at Cornerstone, we are a church that's striving to be a great commandment church. That is that we want to be a church that seeks, obeys, and reflects Jesus. We want to fulfill the commandment to love our neighbors as ourselves. I talked about how we can stumble a bit in what the word love really means. I've been working through 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8, and have suggested that love isn't so much a feeling as it is an attitude that results in actions. We looked at two such actions. Love is patient and love is kind. Let's move on to the next one. Love doesn't envy. The New Living Translation says, love isn't jealous. This is really easy if we just kind of read it quickly and then move on to the next statement. Of course, I'm not envious or jealous. Okay, what's next? But let's park here for a while. Have you ever found yourself in this kind of a situation? Someone in your church has been given a really great gift, maybe something like an all-expense paid vacation to someplace warm, someplace sunny. Or maybe somebody's given them a new automobile and we smile and slap them on the back and congratulate them. But inside we're thinking, sure must be nice. Then we begin to have a little bit of a pity party. And we tell God it just isn't fair, that we're at least as deserving as they were. So, okay, you've never done that, but some of us have. So this dimension of love can start cutting pretty close to the bone. I do want my brothers and sisters to prosper, but maybe not quite as much as I want to prosper. One more thought before I move on. We find this in St. Paul's letter to the Philippians. Listen to it from chapter 2. If you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any fellowship with the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and purpose. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. When we adopt this selfless attitude, we are actually being loving. One more thing before I bring this to an end. Love doesn't boast. And let's include the next one as well, because I think they're connected. Love isn't proud. Let me put this in a more positive light. Love is humble. In writing to the church in Rome, the Apostle Paul said in Romans 12:3, "For by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourselves more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourselves with sober judgment, in accordance with the measure of faith that God has given you." Pride. I think it may be the taproot of many of our individual acts of sin. Pride demands that I be at the center of the world and that the whole world revolve around me. Boasting is me wanting to let everyone else know of my superiority, of my position as the most important person in the world. You may have heard the old story of the young man on a first date. He took his date to a dining room before COVID for a meal. As they waited for the food to be served, he began to tell her all about his accomplishments, his important friends, his education, and why he was well, the very best at whatever he tried to do. He suddenly realized that he was dominating the conversation and apologized. I'm so sorry about taking over this conversation and only talking about myself. I want to hear about you. So tell me, what do you think about me? Pride and boasting are at the center of extreme competitiveness. Now, don't misunderstand me. I believe we should keep score in games. I love to play pickleball, and we always keep score, and I have to admit that I prefer winning to losing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that competitiveness that says, I have to win no matter what the cost. It's the hockey player that subtly crosses the line with a butt end to the opponent's face to get the puck. The offensive football lineman that grabs the defensive lineman's jerseys, hoping that the official doesn't see him. That's what I'm talking about. Anything to win. It's not just in sports. Pride comes to the workplace and to the home as well. Pride says, do anything you have to do to get that promotion, to win the corner office. It's making sure my family looks the best so that I can look like I have all my ducks in a row. It's bragging to my extended family what my earnings are if I am pretty sure that I'll win that competition. And here envy can raise its head as I look at the achievements of others that I know and try to undermine their achievements, make myself look better. The Lord actually included a command in his top 10 by saying in the 9th commandment, you remember it, thou shalt not covet. I like the way some versions have translated this commandment by saying, be content with what you have. When we love, we don't envy what others have. In fact, we rejoice with them. We don't strive to take what they have acquired so that we can consider ourselves the winners in the game of life. Love says that I am not the center of the universe. Do you remember the parable of the banquet? Jesus said, if you're invited to a banquet, always take the seat of the least prominence. Let the host move you if he wants to, but don't demand the head table. Don't demand the spotlight. Love isn't about how I feel. It's about how I act, what I do. So let me ask you this question. How's your love life? Let me pray that God will give us the grace to love others as he has loved us. Please pray with me. Lord, I want to love with a selfless heart. I don't want to be envious. I don't want to be proud. I don't want to be a braggart. Help me to love in such a way that others will see that love and will allow it to be reflected in their lives. Help us throughout this week to be better lovers for the sake of Jesus. In his name we ask. Amen.